Hey everyone, what's going on? This video is all about measuring the range of motion of different joints in the physical therapy exam. In this video, I'll be covering different ways to measure ranges of motion, like using a goniometer or a tape measure. I'll also be covering what's normal for different joints because every joint has a normal range of motion. And lastly, I'll be covering some common joints that you should be aware of and how to measure those specific joints. In addition, I'll be throwing in some tips on why some of those ranges of motion are pretty important. All right, let's get measuring. Let go. Hey everyone, what's going on? My name is Justin Lee, Doctor of Physical Therapist. Here you'll find videos on fitness, physical therapy, and lifestyle that helps inspire self-change. Alright, so let's get into it. We got 3 main points in this video. The first one is going to be covering the different ways to measure ranges of motion, like using different tools. Secondly, we're going to be covering what's normal ranges of motion, aka norms, and what the end feel should feel like for those ranges of motion. And lastly, we're going to be covering some common joints to measure. Alright, so range of motion, we got to get into that and why that's important first off. So range of motion, our body moves, right? Like I look this way, up, my shoulders, I squat down, my hips, and everything moves. When you have movement, every joint has a specific or a normal range of motion that they should go through. And that's super important for a physical therapist to know because if a person is lacking range of motion, then as a physical therapist, I gotta restore range of motion so it can get back to its normal ranges, right? So that's pretty much why range of motion is important. Now, in order to make things objective by being able to measure something, because as physical therapists or as scientists in general, we always have to make things objective. That's why we have different measuring tools like a goniometer. What's also common is using a tape measure, or what's also common, especially when it's used for a more of the spine, is called a inclinometer. Inclinometer. I think that's how you say it.
We can now examine cervical rotation utilizing our inclinometer. Our landmark would be to put the inclinometer zeroed out directly over the center of the forehead and have the patient rotate in this degree towards me.
All right, really quick. This is a kind of a medium-sized goniometer. Some goniometers are kind of bigger, so when you have bigger joints like on the shoulder, like this axis will be much bigger and you'll kind of have like lines going through. I'll put that in the description as well. But this really quick, a goniometer basically, I don't know if you guys can see, has different ranges of motion and you can see that this is what we call the axis, so where you are putting the axis of the goniometer on, I guess. We have one arm that's called the stationary arm, so that's not moving, which is going to be this part. And then the moving arm is what we call it. That's what we're gonna measure when we move. Now, tape measures can be pretty important and useful as well. So especially when you work on different areas, like I like to use tape measures for the lumbar spine because when you're bending down and you're trying to reach down towards the floor, it's kind of hard to use a goniometer and really figure out like what angle of spinal flexion or lumbar flexion is that. Instead, let's just say, hey, reach down and touch the ground, and then wherever my hands are, I'm gonna be measuring the tip of my middle finger all the way down to the floor, and then we have an objective measurement like, oh hey, it's like 6 inches off the floor or whatever centimeters off the ground. As usual, in the description, I do have timestamps available, and I also have different links available, and I also have descriptions of what this video is all about. So always make sure you read the description part of the videos because there's a lot of value there as well. Okay, second point, we have normal range of motion and end feel. What the heck is that? Well, let's talk about that, okay? So first off, range of motion is a long thing to say, so I'm just gonna say ROM for short. ROM, range of motion. Got it? Okay, cool, let's move on. Like I mentioned earlier, every single joint has a normal range of motion, right? So for example, like my neck, my cervical spine, if I wanted to rotate and if I was stuck here, you can already eyeball and be like, that is like not normal. Like you should be able to go your chin pretty much going all the way to your shoulder, but I can already tell it's a little bit limited, right? So what is normal? It's limited compared to what? And that is what we call normal or norm, all right? So every joint has a norm, and in physical therapy school, we have to remember all those norms. So for example, for our cervical spine, we have flexion, extension, side bend, and we have rotation, and you need to know all the degrees for those. Like normal range of motion for extension is 45, flexion 45, we have cervical rotation for 60 degrees, like that's normal. We have shoulder flexion for 180, and we'll kind of go over all of that too. So norms is super important to remember and understand, because you want to try to restore that range of motion back to its norm. Now, end feel. What is this? Now, when you passively take a certain joint, so let's say I take my shoulder and I passively take it up into the end range of motion. Every single joint, like we mentioned norm, every single joint has a normal end feel. And that's basically what it feels like at the very end of the range of motion. And it falls typically into 3 different categories. We have firm, hard, and soft, okay? So for example, our shoulder, when we go into shoulder flexion or shoulder abduction, you have a firm end feel. That means you get to the end and you can kind of feel an end, but if you really push, you can kind of push a little bit more. So that's firm, right? Most of our joints have a firm end feel. Next, we have the hard end feel. So like our elbow, that olecranon is gonna go right into that fossa and boom, that's it. You just have a hard end feel. If you try to push it more, it's not gonna go. And then conversely, we have the soft end feel. Like our biceps, you go and push it to the end, you have muscle bulk, especially me, just kidding. You have muscle bulk, right, in flexion, so when you push it, it's soft, and then you should be able to really push it a little bit more if you wanted to. Now, it's important to know which joints have what certain end feels. So we know the elbow has a soft end feel for here, right? So let's say you were measuring passive range of motion for elbow flexion, and then you get to a point where it's like, it's stuck, or it's like super hard end feel. That's already telling you that's not normal. So let me look into that and investigate a little bit further. So that's why end feel is important to know. Hey guys, if you're already getting some value from this video, would you mind smashing that like button? And if you are liking this video so much that you feel like you want to share it, please feel free to share it. Alright guys, let's get to some common joints that we should measure. Alright, so we're gonna use the PhysioU range of motion app, and we're gonna go ahead and start at the cervical spine. Alright, so for the cervical spine, we're gonna mainly look at cervical extension and rotation. Now really quick, cervical spine, why it's important is because you're literally using your neck to turn and look for every single thing that you do like in life. You guys ever had like neck pain and then just your whole day has been just totally lame because you're like, my neck, my neck, like that's important. So normal range of motion for extension is typically about 45 degrees and rotation is about 60 degrees. So let's check out how to measure those 2 motions using a goniometer.
And we will utilize landmarks starting with the axis of motion at the external auditory meatus. Our stationary arm will be perpendicular to the ceiling, and we will be using our moving arm from that external auditory meatus to the base of the nares or the nose. In this position, I will position the patient into extension, palpating at C7T1 to identify when extension is finished. The patient, as C7 begins to move and T1 starts to move, I stop there. That is the end of the patient's available extension in the cervical spine. I then get the goniometer, align it at the external auditory meatus, perpendicular here, and we'll move our arm to the base of the nares or nose, have the patient rotate until motion at T1 is detected, which would indicate an end of available cervical rotation.
Okay, next, let's go down to the shoulder. We're gonna be looking at shoulder flexion, external rotation, and internal rotation. Now, these joints are super important to have functionally and these ranges of motion because, yeah, you wanna lift your arm overhead, especially teacher, professor, I have a question, you wanna be able to do that. Also, rotation is important because if you wanna take off your shirt, you need to have external rotation to do that. If you cannot externally rotate, then it's kind of hard to take off that shirt. Now, normal range of motion for shoulder flexion is about 180 degrees. For shoulder external rotation is about 90, and internal rotation is about 70 degrees.
She's in proper alignment, and we can now position our goniometer. Along the axis here, we're going to get our stationary arm in alignment and use our distal arm there, and it would look like that position. In this position, I'm going to stabilize at the proximal humerus and allow the patient to externally rotate, looking for any type of rocking or anterior motion. We're going to go perpendicular to the floor.
All right, next, going down to the knee, we're going to be looking at knee extension. Knee extension is super important, especially for walking, okay? You need to have full knee extension where your knee is completely straight in order to walk normally, all right? So if your knee is slightly bent, then you're gonna have kind of a limp in your walk, right? You need to have that full extension to carry out that full stride in your step, and then also the part where it comes back behind you as well. So normal range of motion for the knee is 0 degrees straight.
For this measurement, we're going to use the lateral trochanter at the hip, the lateral epicondyle at the knee, and the lateral malleolus at the ankle.
All right, so those are some common joints that physical therapists typically get ranges of motion on. But of course, you also want to make sure that you're going to get the range of motion for that specific body part that the patient is coming in for. So if they're having neck pain, don't get the range of motion for the ankle. Obviously, you guys knew that, right? So if you got some value from this video, thank you so much for hitting that like button. If you like these videos, I'm constantly bringing out videos like this to bring value to you, to educate you, and to teach you everything about physical therapy. So please feel free to subscribe so you can get the updates, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when I post those videos, you'll get that notification right away. I'm always posting videos like this. Lastly, if you like this video and you really got a lot of information from it, I'm sure your friend who's into physical therapy will get that same information as well. So please feel free to share this video with them. And if you're a part of a student doctor network, or as part of a network or a forum page on Facebook, please feel free to share this video on that page as well so other people can get value just like you did. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Change people, change people. That's why we live for change, people. Stay lifting. Have a great one, you guys.